A long week. Get your drink, get settled. You guys stop working. Just stop working. Like, no more working. This week has been so long. I'm Cassandra Gaines, your host, Freight Waves. We are here. We are live. And we're having a very exciting episode with Brett. I'm so excited to have him on. But first, guess what happens? Oh, Brett, are you going to be at TIA? It's okay. It's okay, Boiler Room boys. You're ready. Let's bring Brett on. Let's give Brett a hard time. Are you going to be at TIA in Scottsdale? That's coming up. Look, listen, Boiler Room boys. If everybody's messing with me, but I can't hear Brett. They like to play tricks on me, Brett. And this is what they do to me the entire time. They're trying to shut me down. Well, how come I can't hear them? I think he's scared of us now. Brett, are you still there, Brett?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Ah, there he is. That was funny. Is he? Do you see Brett? You see how the Boiler Room boys, they have fun back there. I think they're already drinking. They're drinking frozen margaritas. It's Friday. I told everybody to stop working. I didn't mean them. How are you? Thank you for coming on the show. And I'm happy to have you on. And are you in Denver, Colorado right now?
I'm in Colorado. I actually live about 3 hours west of Denver.
Oh, okay. All right. Is it like in the middle of nowhere?
I live in the very middle of nowhere. I live in the very center of the state of Colorado. So I live at about 7,000 feet elevation.
Oh my God. So what do you do with yourself? Are you an introvert?
I'm pretty introverted, yeah. But I have 4 boys, so they keep me pretty busy.
Oh yeah, of course. And you're hiding the voice from the world apparently because you're in the middle of nowhere. Like, how far away is your closest neighbor?
No, I mean, I have neighbors. I'm not, I don't live in a community, let's say, but my neighbors are close. Yeah, I could throw a rock and hit one. No, probably not. Probably couldn't hit them with a rock.
Oh, I thought when you said you're 3 hours away, I imagined you up into the mountains, like nobody's around. You're one of those people. There's lots of them in Tennessee, by the way, where they like to be really like recluse and not have any neighbors. And that's what I imagined. So what I'm hearing you say is you do have a community. You probably would prefer not to, and you have 4 boys that are running around and seem pretty happy.
Yeah, I live in a ski town. So I live in a ski town, and my boys ski about 50 days a year. My boys ski. They ski in PE. They ski on the weekends. Pretty much for 6 straight months, we focus on skiing.
Nice. That sounds wonderful. What did you do? Didn't you live in Arizona?
I lived in Arizona I worked for Knight for 20 years. 2.5 years of that, I lived in Southern California doing sales for Knight. But most of that time, I worked out of our Phoenix office, and I worked remotely for Knight from Colorado for about 6 years.
Oh, okay. So wait, did you like living in Phoenix?
Well, I was born and raised there, so it'd be hard for me to say that I didn't like it.
Okay.
I do have an affinity for it, but I'll be honest with you, I just couldn't do the heat anymore.
Oh, really? I love it. I don't mind Phoenix at all, but I wasn't born and raised, so I could understand. Are you going back for TIA? Because that's like in a week or so.
I won't be at TIA, but I will be at the ATA in San Diego the end of the month.
Does anybody go to the ATA conference anymore? Besides you?
Well, truckers do. I would say that I would say that I'm more of a trucker than I am a 3PL guy.
Yeah, that makes sense. You were at Knight for a long time. So so I did not hear you going to Freight Waves. Everyone is going to Freight Waves. That's in what, 2 weeks? And the Boiler Room boys will be there. That's our production team. And we can give them a really hard time. You've got to go, Brett.
I won't be there either.
You hear that, Boiler Room boys? Uh-oh, they're going to kick you off probably. No, they only kick me off. All right, so I'm excited to have you on. I do want to hear about your journey. I've never asked you about, you were at Knight for almost 20 years, great company. And then you go off onto your own and start this company. So tell us that journey. I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, I worked at Knight for a long time, and what a wonderful company to work for. I cannot say enough great things about the education that they provided me in this industry. I can't say enough great things about the upward mobility that they offered me. When I first started working at Knight, we had less than 1,000 trucks, and when I left, just kind of post the Swift acquisition, they had become the largest trucking company in North America. And I met a lot of wonderful people in my time there, a lot of people who I would call friends, that I would say shaped my philosophy around business, that shaped my philosophy around being in the trucking business. And just great people. And I don't think that there's anybody that's done it better than them. And I'm so appreciative to them and to my time there. When I first started, my first job was in driver payroll, and I always like telling the story because it makes me feel really old. But my first job was in driver payroll, and it was still a Friday handing out paper checks scenario. And so my first interaction with truck drivers was on payday. And so it was, that was eye opening. Today, oh yeah, yeah. And so, and then I fast forward to today, and we're like obsessed over carrier payments. And I think that a lot of that has to do with that experience of actually handing a driver a paycheck. When I first was in this industry, we had no telematics. There was no in-cab communication. Everything that we did was over the payphone. And so I've just seen a lot of evolution in the industry over the past 20 plus years. And I think that the primary reason for wanting to go out and do something on our own was really about, we've seen some evolutions, but we really believe that there's some transformational technology coming down the pipeline, and we wanted to be a part of that. And not only do we want to be a part of that, we wanted to be a leader in that. And so, and really, when we think about this transformational age that we're in, what we're really talking about is this transformation of the driving job, and how fortunate we feel that we can be to facilitate the betterment of drivers and the job that they do, because they're so near and dear to my heart and to our organization's heart.
So let's back up. Let's go back to the technology piece that you said. So tell me more about the technology, and tell me about how you even started the company first, and then we'll get into the technology piece.
Yeah, so I had been debating what I wanted to do kind of for the next maybe 20 years of my life for a while. And then the opportunity to start this business came. And I really looked at our business as kind of being built in 5 different tranches, if you will. And so the first tranche for us was just get to work. Go out and start your business and start building a dense freight network. And leading up to the launch of Loadsmith, we spent a good 6 months just working on branding and brand positioning and understanding the marketplace to be able to build a brand that could articulate our value system and who we wanted to resonate with. And so we spent 6 months working on branding and brand position. What is our brand essence and our brand promise? Moved into the next piece, and so we really look at our business as five tranches that we're working towards. And the first one was just building a network of freight. And so we are very, very disciplined when it comes to the network design that we are working on. And so the overwhelming majority of our freight is, and when I say overwhelming majority, 80+% is in 50 lanes. We'll expand that to probably 100 to 150 lanes as time goes on, but we're very, very lane dense. We're very lane specific. 90+% of our freight is contractual. So we're not, playing the spot market, and we really can't build the network that we want to build, relying solely on spot boards. And so we're heavy into contractual freight. The next kind of piece for us was, now that we're moving freight, we're working on our network, then let's go and build a world-class technology stack. And so when you look at the things that we're doing from a technology perspective, in regards to our transition to Mastery and the integration of Boomi, to help us with our middleware, to allow us to integrate in a much more seamless way, our data lake on the back end from a reporting perspective, and then how do we, so that our tech stack's kind of the next thing that we're working on. We're in the process of that migration to Mastery. We should have that buttoned up by April 1 of next year.
Yeah, tell me, because I didn't think anybody was like, I kind of thought Mastery died. It was like a big splash, and then we never heard anything ever again. I was like, oh, maybe it's just nothing else anymore, and I haven't heard anybody using it. So so it's legit. Tell me about it. Like, why did you decide Mastery? There's a lot out there.
Well, we're probably their smallest customer, probably by a mile. I think that they're definitely whale hunters. And in the grand scheme of things, the reality, Cassandra, is that it's a next level. I mean, it's so far ahead of anything that I have seen, coming from TMW, currently on McLeod.
Oh God.
Looked at Mercury Gate in the beginning, and the others, but it is a next level, next generation platform. What it allows us to do, it's next level, and so it's a huge investment. It's a huge undertaking for us. It's a huge investment, but I'll be honest with you, come April 1st of next year, I will put our technology stack up against anyone, in any category that you want to talk about. I would put our technology second, and not just the master keys.
Sorry, I know there's like a little bit of a delay here. If you have mostly dedicated lanes, and it sounds like the way you described is pretty steady business, smooth sailing for you guys. Why make a major switch to that kind of TMS? Like, what is it? I know this wasn't supposed to be a TMS show, but it's Mad Games. It could be anything show. But what is it about the other ones that you looked at that like wasn't able to sustain your business? Just curious, because I don't really know TMSs that well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we grew out of our current provider, and the only reason I say that is because when we look at step 3, 4, and 5, when you're talking about is correct in terms of we're deliberate in our network design, but beyond that deliberate in our network design, how do you optimize? How do you take all of the freight that you have and say, this is not only is this the most optimal mode to ship that, but beyond mode, this is who you should ship it with, and this is how you should ship it. And so we're really keyed in on their optimization tools. We're keyed in on their workflows. Their workflows are amazing. Optimization perspective, those are the optimization components are parts that we're going to have to build on top of that, and mostly because of when you start talking about the autonomous middle mile and us kind of being the leader really in that, and so there's just a lot of moving parts, and so for us to make that decision so young in our career, again, like I said, they're definitely a whale hunter, and we're I wouldn't call us a minnow. We're probably like at the skipjack tuna level at this point. Still a small fish, but but we are small fish with a big appetite, and so we want to grow into a very large fish, and so we're instead of us waiting until it becomes more complex, we'd rather make the move today and maybe extend ourselves a little bit. But again, coming back to April 1 of next year, I can't imagine another provider that has a better technology stack than us.
Oh, that's interesting. So back to more about your branding. You spent 6 months branding. I would kill myself spending 6 months branding. I'm assuming you had revenue too. Like you were working, but maybe not. Maybe you guys are sitting around drinking beer talking about branding the entire time. But
No,
what was your biggest takeaway? Like, what did you decide to do for your company that changed that you needed 6 months to decide?
Yeah, I think that my first meeting on Loadsmith before we had a name or anything was with a branding agency in Los Angeles. And, the very first question that anybody asked me about Loadsmith, about this business was, what makes you different? And my answer to them, and it's just me at this point. There's no co-founders yet. So I'm sitting there. So what makes you different? I said, well, I'm starting here, and that's different. No offense to all of the organizations that I know that are named after the founders, but we wanted something that planted our flag in terms of who we are and what we were about, and so it was enlightening, and not a lot of beer drinking, but a lot of research, a lot of I have reams and reams of research in terms of I'll give you an example. So we took the 50 largest trucking and logistics companies, completely scraped their entire websites of every verb that they use in or every adjective that they use in their business. Did an adjective word bank for every one of these competitors. Then put them into a chart, and where did they fit? What quadrant did they fit in terms of, did they speak to the carrier or the customer? Did they speak technology, or did they speak relationship? So we did a lot of intel on our competition. Then we spent a lot of time going through Carl Jung and Jungian archetypes and how did we want to position ourselves. We went through generational cohort theory. How do we resonate with Gen X's, Boomers, Gen Z, and Millennials, and what are the different levers that we have to pull in order to influence them? How do we message to them? Where do we position ourselves? How do we position ourselves differently? What's the story that we want to tell? And we kept coming back to this logistics as a craft thing, and that drivers are crafts.
I like that.
Yeah, drivers are craftsmen.
Yeah.
A freight broker has their craft. Salespeople have their craft, and so we kept coming back to this craft notion, and that people are craftsmen in this industry, and that's where we landed on Loadsmith. And so in the old days, a smith was somebody who was a jack of all trades and an artisan, and so we just said Loadsmith. That's the name, and then our logo came out of some Hungarian lore, and like a mythical white stag, and what does that stand for? And
that's so cool.
I really felt like that hit that hit on all cylinders, and so that's the origin story, really.
I like that. And that's one of the reasons that I learned about you as well, is through branding. Like, I love the brand of your company. It caught my eye. It is unique and interesting. I like things that are different. So I heard you say that you guys have a lot of dedicated lanes, contract business, not a lot of spot market. Do you anticipate that might change now that the market is going back to pre-COVID, more of those cycles that we had before COVID, and where people did have to dabble in the spot more to make up for the fact that shippers get back shipments, things like that? Or do you think you'd like to keep it the way it is?
Well, we haven't always been 90% contractual. In July of 21, we were 92% spot. So there's now our business is twice the size as it was in July of last year. And our contractual freight is much more than we would have probably thought at this point in time. I would say that in that regard, I have a lot of close friends where I live that are in the hedge fund world, and oftentimes when I talk to them about our business and the decisions that we have to make, they always tell me, they're like, "You're not running a freight brokerage, you're running a hedge fund," because we're constantly hedging against the future. And so when we look at our business, my brain is always the 6 month and 18-month out. And so when you hear me talk internally, I'm talking about Q2 of 24 right now, because really 23 is already baked in. And so, when we look at the moves that we make from a freight perspective, obviously what will happen in Q2 of 24 is when it's going to happen, when the spot market comes back. When that happens, our business will just grow, right? Like we won't, our contractual freight will stay, but then we'll be able to add on, through spot as well. But we really think that there's 6 months here of not a lot of opportunity for growth in the spot side of things, but it's cyclical. We recognize that it's cyclical. That I think comes back to our experiences at night. And I'll give you another example of that indoctrination of night that we have is that looking at 23, Jessica Kane, who's our CFO and who's just brilliant, she and I have worked together for a long time. And, we're like, hey, what does our cost structure look like? What does our, 23 look like? So we just said, hey, we need to cut $1 million out of our budget for 23. And maybe 35 minutes later, we had done that. And so those types of things that we learned along the way, it's $85,000 a month that we've cut out of our budgets going into next year that won't affect carriers, that won't affect our employees, that won't affect our shippers, but things that we recognize that we can do from a cost control perspective. And really that's cost control in the environment that we're in, whether you're an independent carrier, a freight brokerage, or a mega carrier. Cost control is always something that we should be focused on. But we just are, we're geared a certain way based off of our past experiences. I think Knight, nobody does it better than Knight on a cost control perspective. And so we're fortunate.
Yeah, Dave Jackson was the CFO before he was president, wasn't he? If I remember correctly.
Dave was, Dave was the CFO, and he was before that. I mean, I remember Dave's first day, and I watched him, go through and go from CFO to president and then now CEO. And you have Adam Miller there who is just completely sharp. And Jessica worked directly for those two guys. So there's a lot that we have gained on them. And so couldn't be happier with her. She's, 10 times smarter than I'll ever be. And probably about 100 times more thorough than I'll ever be.
I love that. That's a perfect person for that position. So tell me about these 4 boys. Who's your favorite?
Who's my favorite? They're all my favorite in different ways. They're all my favorite in different ways. But no, they're great. I mean, they're amazing skiers, which scares me. Watching your 11-year-old do a backflip is frightening on skis.
I would stand on the slopes and I would crash or I would hurt myself or whatever. And I like to ski, but these kids would fly by me, like 8-year-old would fly by me and do like this flip or whatever. And I'd be like, damn those kids, man. Cause if they break a leg, they heal way quicker than we do. And they have nothing to lose. They just fly down the hill, and I'm always so jealous of them. So I'm assuming that's your kids when they hit the slopes. They have a great time, and they also burn up all your money.
It is not a cheap endeavor for sure.
4 lift tickets. Some days are you like, no kids, no lift tickets. You have to share, and then you're gonna fucking walk up that hill and learn what it was like back when I was a kid and I was skiing. Do you make them get jobs? Like, come on, give us some details. Don't give us the overall corporate answer. Come on.
No, hey, look, my oldest is going to be 15 here soon. He's a freshman in high school. I would love for him to work at Loadsmith in the summer, scheduling loads. But I think that he wants to work at a ice cream shop. So I'll let him decide. But
not even as close as fun.
I don't think so either. But I don't think that he wants to.
The ice cream shop is not going to pay for his skiing habit.
Yeah, I don't think that he wants to. He listens in on some of my conversations sometimes, so I'm sure that he doesn't want to be at the end of one of those phone calls.
I don't blame them. Being in this world and transportation world is, and I love Craig Fuller one time said this. He was like, we're all addicted to the cycles and the intensity and what's around the corner and what's next in our industry. And he's right. And it takes a certain personality. But I think it would be really cool if you had your sons working at the company and in the industry, because, you know, it all runs in our family. All our family members are in transportation. And once you get in, you can't leave. So I appreciate you coming on. I love getting to know your company more. I think you did it right with the branding. I think it's cool you have such a great in-depth experience in your past. I wish you the best of luck. I hope to see you at a FreightWaves conference coming soon, because they're way better than a boring ass ATA conference. I just got to say. Well, I know all your friends are going to be there. It's more fun.
Well, okay, I'll say this. The last ATA conference I went to, they had the Rolling Stones play. So,
find load coverage 70% faster and save time on track and trace with bulk actions within TIE-TMS. No matter where your shipments come from, they'll be collected in a single actionable page. Bulk load posting allows your reps the ability to